Hello, welcome to my channel. Thank you so much for joining me. To make this decoration, I've got a large box which is 83 centimeters long by 36 centimeters wide by, on the side, the depth of it is 20 centimeters. What I'm doing now is I'm measuring 6 centimeters in from the top and the two sides. So I've measured the sides on the top, and now what I've got is an A4 piece of paper, and I'm going to line it up on that line and then just mark where it ends over here. And then I'm going to be drawing a line 2 millimeters in from there across the bottom. And then from the bottom line where we've just drawn our line, I'm going to mark 6 centimeters down as well. So mark at that at 6 centimeters, and then I'm going to be taking 10 centimeters further down and cutting the box off there. So I've marked the box, and that's where I'm going to be cutting it off. And this small section here is what I'm going to be cutting out. And on the bottom of the box, what I'm doing is, on the extra piece, I'm cutting a 3 centimeter on this side, the top and the bottom. And so my distance that I've got from the top of the box to where the piece is going to be cut out, and then that's the border that's going around, so the distance on that one is 33.5. So on the opposite side of my box, I'm measuring down 33.5 as well to mark that for cutting. I've got my 3 centimeter border on all 4 sides, which I'm going to be using by cutting this center point out, and I'm going to be placing that one on top of this one, so I've got a slightly raised section on this one as well. I've cut my box down to the required dimensions, and now along the bottom line here, which is 6 centimeters past this line, so we've got the 10 centimeters over here, I'm going to score along there and collapse it inward so that it makes a box. I flipped my box over now so that I can measure the distance from there to there, which is the 10 centimeters, so I can score on this side because we're folding it inward and I need a crease on the inside. To score the box, I'm just going to be using the back of a pair of scissors. I'm just using a ruler to hold it down so I can get a nice crisp edge to fold it up. And then I'm doing the other side exactly the same. And where the box has got its natural fold, I'm just cutting along that line as well. I'm doing the same on both sides. To cut the top part of the box, what I've got is my ruler, and because I want this side to be the best side, so in case my scalpel slips and it goes into the opposite side, so I always cut with my ruler, so protecting the side that I actually want to use. So now I'm just going to cut this center piece out that we marked. So I'm just using an empty cutter or an X-Acto knife, and I'm just going to be cutting this whole section out. I've got my piece cut out and I've just flipped it over so that you can actually see it. And now I'm going to cut this center part out as well. To make the box, what I'm doing is the pieces that we cut on the side here, I'm just folding those inward on both sides, and then collapsing the 2 pieces on the sides, which are the 10 centimeter ones, and then I'm going to just tape that together. I've cut the center out of the box, and as you can see, it's a little bit rough, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some masking tape and I'm just going to cap it all the way around. The same as the top piece, I'm going to be capping that with masking tape as well. I've got all the rough edges covered with the masking tape, so on the external one I've done it on both sides, and on the inside box it's just a center piece. And now I'm going to take some hot glue and glue this piece to the top of the box. And the small piece of cardboard that I cut out of the center of the big box, like that, what I've done is I've measured the distance to make it half on both sides, and then I've drawn a line, and I'm going to be doing all four sides like that and then cutting them all off. Because I'm going to be gluing plastic behind this, I need to have the gluing area all the same height. So what I've done is I've taken that same little piece of cardboard that I cut these pieces off, and I'm just placing them underneath like that, and I'm going to cut the tips off so that I can level the bottom piece for gluing the plastic on. I've opened the box out now, and what I've done is on the center pieces here I've measured the center of each piece, and I've marked it in by 4 centimeters on all the sides. So what I'm doing now is I'm taking the corner piece and lining it up on the marking of the 4 centimeters like that, and then I'm going to glue those all down with some hot glue. I'm doing that on all 4 the corners, and then the small piece that we've cut out as well, I'm going to be just putting that in the center there so that I've got this part level for gluing the plastic on. I've glued all the pieces in there, so now I've got a nice flat surface all the way around to glue that plastic on. On the side of my box, choose whichever side is a solid piece. So this one is not a good side to use because that's where it joins together. So I'm going to be flipping the box over, and I'm going to be using the opposite side, which is a nice solid piece. And I've set my compass at 5 centimeters. So I'm going to be drawing a circle in the center of my box, taking it 2 centimeters from the bottom, and then drawing a circle. I've drawn my circle on, and now to cut this one I'm actually going to be cutting it so that it's got spikes. So I'm just cutting straight down. I'm using an X-Acto knife to do this, or an empty cutter, whichever you find suitable. So just cut it. To the edge of the circle like that. So I've got the circle like that, and now what we're going to do is we're going to just push all these tabs inward. So it's a good idea to just score around the circle so that you get a nice clean bend when you bend these ones inward. So your hole should look like that. The next thing I've got is a 2-litre soft drink bottle, and as you can see there's a slight ridge over there. I'm going to be cutting the top section off. I've got an old curtain rod, and I'm just cutting off 25 centimeters. And because this is a metal one, I'm going to be using my special little tube cutter. So now I've got the top of the plastic bottle and the little piece of piping, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use some hot glue and glue it onto the top of that. And to secure it, I'm going to be using a 0.9mm wire to secure it to the top of the bottle. I've cut off about 60 centimeters of wire just so that I've got enough and I don't run out while I'm securing the pole. So my pole is quite nicely secured to the base of the softened bottle. And now I'm just going to take some aluminium foil and wrap it around here to form like a little ball. I'm trying to make it as tight as I can. And then I'm going to cover that with my sculpture moulding clay. If you'd like to see how to make that, I'll leave a link in the description box below. And just cover the whole thing. I've covered it all, and now I'm just going to put that aside to dry. I've got this small piece of polystyrene which is a bit oddly shaped, and I'm going to try and shape that into a cone. I'm just going to be using a serrated steak knife to do the initial cuts all the way around. So I've done the initial cut to try and get it to look like a cone, and as you can see here there's a bit missing which is not going to quite create the cone that I'm looking for. So I've got a spare piece which I'm just going to be gluing onto there so that I can get the shape of a cone. I've glued it on now, and now I'm just going to take my steak knife again and trim it down so that it looks like a cone. And then I'm going to take a rasp and file it down even more. I've taken the rasp and shaped it to look more like a cone now. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some 240 grit sandpaper and I'm going to sand it all nice and smooth like that. I've sanded it nice and smooth so I have quite a nice looking cone. And now I'm taking my piece of pipe, just the spare one that I cut off, and I'm going to be placing it in the centre here to give me a marking as to where this one needs to be cut out. So I've just poked the pipe through the polystyrene, and then when I'm ready to use this one I'll just hot glue that to the pipe. To make the bolts on my decoration I've got these snap-on screw caps which I'm going to be using. I've got all the top pieces of cardboard glued into place, so that's the outer piece that we made extra, and then we've got all the extras. And now I'm marking on the little bolts. So these are the little snap-ons that I was showing you earlier. Now you can just glue them on like that. I just find that there's not enough area to glue on, so what I like to do is use that piece so that I've got that whole area to glue on. So now all you have to do is snap them in. They're quite tricky to snap in, so just holding it and pressing it until it snaps, but you'll see there's always one side that doesn't quite go in properly. So what I do is I just take my pliers and then just squash it in like that. So once you hear the snap, obviously it's in. And then I'm taking these pieces and putting them like that. Now according to my reference picture there's 8 that go along the outer edge and 4 that go on the inner edge. So I'm going to be gluing those on like that. I've glued all my little bolts on and I've tried to line them up so that they're all matching with each side. So now I'm going to undo the box and I'm going to flatten it so I can paint it. Because I've got quite a strange box, what I've done is I've marked the panels that need to be painted, so I'm not painting the entire box. Because my box has got so many different colours on it and the red is very difficult to cover the black, I'm painting the entire box black. I'm using one of these sample pots that you get from the hardware store because it's got quite a lot more paint in it than the little acrylic paints, but it is an acrylic paint. So I'm just going to paint everything black. painted all the panels black that will be exposed, and now I'm going to be working on the other piece. I've taken the little cone that I made and I've placed it onto the stick that has got the attachment at the bottom, and now I'm going to paint this entire piece black as well. The paint is all dry now, and now I've got this red, which they call pillowbox red, and I'm going to be sponging that on. So I've got a small sponge like that, and it's preferable to wear a glove because it is quite messy. So all I'm doing is taking my little sponge, dabbing it in the paint, and then in the spare container I'm taking most of the paint off so that it's not too thick, and then we're just going to dab it on because I don't want it to be too red. And then just do the whole box. You can make it as red as you want by just applying a wee bit more paint, or you can paint it in the solid red, but that's all I'm going for. I've finished painting the piece now, and now I'm going to do the same with the black handle. I've got this old Christmas cracker box that has got the plastic window in it. Now unfortunately the plastic is not quite big enough to cover my window, so I'm going to have to paint a small ridge. So what I'm going to do is place the cardboard box plastic underneath the window, and I'm going to just draw around all the sides here with a marker, and then paint that small section that sticks out to make it even all the way around. I'm going to just paint that all black. I've traced around the window, and now I'm going to place masking tape all along the lines here and paint on that side of the blue line black. I've got all the masking tape on now, and now I'm going to start painting this. I'm going to just paint all the way around. And then I'll put that aside to dry. The paint is all dry now, and I've removed the masking tape, and now I'm going to be trimming the box so that it can fit inside the other box. I've trimmed the box down, and now I'm going to take some of this sticky tape and glue it, or stick it to the inside of this box. I've taped it all in now, so it's all taped at the back like that, and now it's ready to get the picture to go inside. I've just put the box together roughly, it's not taped or anything, so now we're going to be gluing this one onto the side over here. So I've opened the box out, and now what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be gluing onto the cardboard so that the plastic doesn't melt, because unfortunately I've got a hot temperature glue gun which is a little bit too hot for the plastic, so I'm gluing directly onto the cardboard. I've got this flexible tie black, and the size is 10mm by 3mm, which is a nice plastic coated wire, which I'm going to be gluing all the way around there just to close that gap in. I've glued it all in now, and now there's no more gap. I've printed a picture out that I want, and now I'm going to just take that and put it inside and tape it like that. Because this decoration is going to be in quite a dark area, because the party is at night, what I've done is I've taken this small flashlight and I've just placed it inside the box so that when the light goes on you can see the screen. I'm going to be setting the flashlight at the flashing mode like it is now to give it the illusion that it is the TV. Because the on-off switch is on the front of it, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a hole in the back of the box just so that I can get my finger through to just switch it on and off. To seal the paint and to give it a bit of a shine, I'm going to be using my liquid floor polish, and I use Brilliance, and I'm just going to paint that on. And there's my decoration completed. If you found this video helpful or you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up. Really appreciate it if you would subscribe. Thank you so much for watching.